The UFC 324 no longer looks like it's going to be Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, and it now looks like it will be Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett. And this is shocking news because everything these past few months has pointed to it being Justin Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria at UFC 324 for Ilia's first title defense in the lightweight division, as well as the first card on the Paramount Plus deal. We had Justin Gaethje coming out saying that he's going to retire if he doesn't get the championship fight next, and the UFC pulled back everything they had regarding the Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria fight, shut down all those rumors, and a bunch of sources came out saying that it would be Justin Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria. However, as of this week, it seems like everything has changed. And in this video, we're going to break down all of the sources pointing to it being Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett now, as well as an early prediction for who would win that fight and how their styles clash up against each other. With that being said, we're about 15 subscribers away from 1,200 subscribers, so every subscribe helps. Every subscribe and like on the video do a lot for this video in the algorithm, so I always appreciate it. But with that being said, let's get right into the news. And the first biggest piece that we have regarding this whole situation is Ilia Topuria had a home interview. I believe this was somewhere in Spain, and the reporter asked him, this interview was all not in English, but we have the translations, and he was asked who he wants to fight next and when that fight will be. And to start this video off hot, here's the Herrick Insider News, which all my subscribers know is some niche info that you don't get elsewhere, that I try to give my subscribers every single video to give them more value for subscribing to the channel. And Ilia was asked in this video if he will be fighting on the January card, UFC 324, and he said it is very, very possible. And he was also asked who he wants his opponent to be next in the lightweight division, and he said Paddy Pimblett. He talked about how they don't like each other and how it'd be a great fight, and this is the fight, ladies and gentlemen, that needs to happen in the lightweight division, but we'll get more into that in a little bit. But yes, we know that Ilia Topuria right now is the UFC's biggest star, and he has potential to be huge. Everybody's calling him the next Conor McGregor, so when he says he wants Paddy Pimblett, which is already going to be a big fight they could capitalize on now while both fighters are undefeated, you best believe Dana White and the UFC is going to make that fight happen. They are not going to sideline this fight for a past his prime Justin Gaethje, who likely gets knocked out in the first round against Ilia Topuria. And Dana White himself was asked if Ilia Topuria would be fighting on UFC 324, with it being the first Paramount CBS card. And Dana White said that it is very possible Ilia Topuria will be headlining that event, so that is just another sign pointing to this event going down. However, a contrarian point that did come out is someone replied to a tweet on Twitter around here, and they said that they talked to Paddy Pimblett recently and said that this fight has not yet been confirmed and that this may be fake news. But we are seeing sources from all over the board saying that it could be shifting to Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria, so I wanted to get you guys ready for that news. We all know they have the feud going back years now, and they even had a face-off in the ring at UFC 317 after Ilia Topuria knocked out Charles Oliveira, which that win is just aging amazingly after Charles Oliveira just dominated Mateusz Gamrot. But in this section of the video, we're going to get right into our prediction for this fight and who will win. Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett. These are two undefeated fighters. Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria are both very well rounded. However, Paddy Pimblett seems to go to the ground just a little bit more, where Ilia Topuria these days, even though it has a good ground game, likes to use his power and has just been flatlining everybody as of lately. In my prediction, I think that Ilia Topuria is going to punch the nose off of Paddy Pimblett's head and put him out cold. I don't think that this fight gets past the third round. I think Paddy Pimblett is getting stopped early. That's a lock that I'm going to be betting on, is Ilia Topuria by KO, maybe by submission. You could bet it to not go the distance, but I think that Ilia Topuria gets the finish on Paddy Pimblett. I think it's not going to be close, and it's not necessarily because Paddy Pimblett's a bad fighter. I think it's because Ilia Topuria currently right now is one of the best fighters in the UFC with the most complete skill set. And when you combine that with crazy power at this upper weight class, it's even more power than he had at featherweight and a better chin than he would have had. I just don't see how Ilia Topuria gets stopped. We already know he has a good jiu-jitsu and wrestling background, so he is going to be fine there. And if it comes down to who's going to finish who and who's the better striker, who's more technical, who's more powerful, all those signs point to Ilia Topuria. And if that wasn't enough reasons to pick Ilia Topuria, we know the unfortunate news right now for his family, but he is going through a divorce with his wife. Seems like what is going on, and if you thought Ilia was dangerous before, this is just going to be pack-a-punch Ilia right now. Like, I'm talking double pack-a-punch to Ray Gun Mark II, on Barry, Call of Duty, Black Ops 2 Zombies, Ilia Topuria. That is the level of power we're going to be dealing with. We already know the power he has at lightweight is more than featherweight, which was already one of the most powerful pound-for-pound fighters in all of UFC, but when you add the anger that he's going to have have with this huge breakup. I mean, they have kids together. It's a very sad thing. But this is something that is going to make Ilia even swing harder with everything he has at Paddy Pimblett. Combined with the beef that him and Paddy have. This guy hates Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett hates him. I think Ilia Topuria might send this guy to the shadow realm. Like behind Joe Rogan in DC and Mr. Anik is going to be an ambulance with a little stretcher because they will have to be ready for what's going to happen to Paddy Pimblett at UFC 324 if they cross paths. This is not going to be good. Ilia Topuria might put this guy in a coma. No, obviously we're not going to wish for any of that to happen. But I'm just giving you guys the facts of what could happen in this fight here. This is not good. And to be honest, I like Paddy. Like, I think he's a funny and entertaining guy, which is what the UFC needs right now in this post-McGregor era. You need people with personalities to build these fights. It makes these fights feel bigger. Why does Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria feel so big? Not because Paddy Pimblett's the best contender, because that would be Arman Tsarukyan. But we want to see this fight more because Paddy Pimblett is a bigger star and they have a rivalry going against each other. And again, I think Paddy Pimblett is a good fighter. He's undefeated in the UFC for a reason. You don't just do that if you're a scrub. But I'm saying that Ilia Topuria is going to smoke Paddy Pimblett. I mean, there's an off chance that this stuff affects Ilia's head, the divorce, and all the personal stuff going on that I'm sure is not easy to deal with. But Ilia Topuria seems like the type of professional that really prioritizes his career and his mindset. So I just hope Paddy Pimblett does not get sent down the Tony Ferguson route too soon, because we're talking brain damage on the way, and Paddy Pimblett might want to walk into that octagon with a helmet at UFC 324. But let me know down below, who do you guys think will win if Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett do face each other at UFC 324? How will that fight go? Can Paddy beat Ilia? I personally don't think so, but let me know if you guys think that's possible, and I will see you guys in the next video later this week. Deuces.